everyone, this is Stefan Lesage again from Davia in Belgium, and in today's video tutorial we will have a look at how you can configure your Delphi XE2 and your Mac to build and deploy and test iOS applications built with, of course, Delphi XE2 and FireMonkey. Unlike building a Mac version for your Delphi XE2 FireMonkey application, creating an iOS version requires some prerequisites, and we will have a look at what you need to do in order to get ready to build and test your iOS applications. First of all, we will have to do some preparation on the Mac side of things, and this is necessary because you will need Xcode, the development tool made by Apple, to build your final applications and to test them out in the iOS simulator. Downloading and installing the Xcode can be done quite easily. You could do that using the Mac App Store if you are on the latest version of OS X Snow Leopard or even online. You can simply go to the Mac App Store and have a look for Xcode, and you should find that, and from here you can simply install it by clicking on the icon. As you can see, I have already installed it, so I won't have to do it. Another way to do it is, of course, if you're part of the iOS developer program, you could simply go to the corresponding website here at developer.apple.com, log into your developer account, and from there you should be able to find the Xcode download as well. Let me close down that window again. This one too. And once you have run through the installation process, you should have Xcode installed in your machine, and you can simply start it up. I won't be doing that for now. So the first step in the process is to actually install Xcode on your Mac. Once you have downloaded and installed Xcode on your Mac, you still need to install a few other things, like for example the FreePascal compiler and FireMonkey files. Luckily, you should find a disk image file containing these tools on your Delphi installation, so I'll have a look in my virtual machine. Normally you should find this in the C program files. Let's have a look. Computer, C, program files, Embarcadero, RADstudio 9, and there you should find a folder named FireMonkey iOS. And within that folder you should find a DMG file, which is actually a Mac disk image file, so you should copy that over to the Mac side. I can do that via drag and drop. Once the file is copied to the Mac, you can simply run the installer. I will minimize my virtual machine window so it's easier to see what I'm doing. And here I have a FireMonkey iOS DMG file. I can simply mount that disk image by double-clicking it, and you should find a disk image somewhere. And here you have two installers, one saying install FreePascal. So we'll have to start with this one. Simply follow the wizard. Continue. Agree. I'm installing it using the default settings, and I will have to enter my administrator password to install the files. So the first step is installing the FreePascal compiler, and this is now done. And now I still have to install the FireMonkey iOS files into FreePascal as well. Simply follow the wizard again. Agree. Use the default settings. Again, enter my administrator password. And now it is installing the FireMonkey files. Note that here it says less than a minute, but I've actually found out that it could take a few minutes before the installer is completely finished. Simply let it run and it will finish. Meanwhile, the installation has finished, so we are ready on the Mac side of things, and I can simply close those windows and even remove the two files if I wanted to. also want to have a look at the iOS developer program, which you can find at the website developer.apple.com. And here you should find the different programs, and you will find more information on the iOS developer program here. Well, why would you need this? Well, in order to deploy your applications to a physical device or even submit them to the App Store, you will need to be a member of the iOS developer program. Now, this costs about $99 a year, or 79 euros in our case. And this should cover you for a year and allow you to publish your applications or deploy your applications on a physical device to test them and even submit them to the App Store. But you can find out all information you need on developer.apple.com/programs. Okay, by now we have finished configuring everything on the Mac side, but we might still need to do a few things on the Windows side. So I will switch to my virtual machine. Let me minimize this window and go back to my virtual machine. Now, in order to build the application in Xcode, I will need to share a folder between the Mac and Windows. In my case, I've just done this using the virtual machine. A few settings from my virtual machine. If I would look at sharing here, you will see that my documents folder on the Mac side and on the Windows side is shared between the both of them, but I could simply add a shared folder in here as well. So let me have a look at my documents folder on the Mac. Documents. I have a folder here, development, and I have a folder Delphi XE2. And if I would look at the Mac on the Windows side of things, I should see that I have access to the same folder. In Documents, I have a Development and a Delphi XE2 folder. This is needed because I will have to create an Xcode version of my Delphi XE2 project, and I will have to build it on the Mac side, of course. Now, how can you build or export your Delphi project to Xcode? Well, let me start up Delphi first, and I will show you how to add the expert DPR to Xcode tool to the tools menu, of course. So if you have a look at tools, you will see that I already have an expert to Xcode menu item in here. If you don't have it yet, you can simply add it yourself by going to Configure Tools, add a new item, give it a title. The program is dprtoxcode.exe, and the parameters are string or $project. Once this is done, we are completely ready, and we can start with the demo application, of course. Now that we have configured everything, we can try to make a simple iOS application using Delphi XE2 and FireMonkey. Now, unlike Delphi and FireMonkey applications for Windows and Windows 64-bit and Mac, you will need to create a separate project for the iOS version. You can do that by simply going to File, New, Other, and here you should find an option to create a FireMonkey HD iOS application. Simply double click it and you will be presented with a default FireMonkey iOS form or screen. Now I will simply add a few components to the form. First of all, let's add a T image. I could do that by searching for the corresponding component in my tool palette, of course, but I found it easier to use the IDE inside. I will reposition the image, maybe make it a bit bigger and a bit smaller, and I can assign a bitmap to it, any image actually. Load, I will simply load a sample image company logo. Okay. Now it would also be nice to add a reflection to this image, so I'll add a reflection effect. I can of course modify the properties of that reflection effect. Make the offset bigger, the length bigger, 0.75, 1. and so on and so on. Now I will rescale my original image, so it's a bit smaller, of course. Here you go. A second thing I would do is add a 3D viewport. Viewport 3D, of course. Here you go, I will reposition it as well. I will use this to actually make a 3D or add a 3D image to the 3D viewport. Up. I will add a 3D image component. Here I will add, offset the image as well. Again, I will use some example images, logo. I can reposition that within the 3D image, of course. I can adjust the size if I want to, height and width. Reposition it approximately in the center. Now I will also add a trackball. I will add to the form itself the trackbar. Here you go. Now I can reposition that, scale it. And I will also add a T-label component. And reposition that as well. Scale it, reposition it. I will give this a decent name. And set its initial text or caption. Now my goal is to allow the user to rotate the image around its y-axis using the trackbar. How can I do this? Well, simply click on the trackbar. I will set the minimum and the maximum values. Minimum is of course 0, maximum will be 360. And now I will check the events on change. And here I will simply add some code. Image 3D1. And then I will change its rotation angle around the y-axis. And I will set that to the value of the trackbar. Simply run it on the Windows side of things to see if it's working. Yep, I can rotate my image perfectly. Now I would also love to update the caption of this label. I can do this as well, label. Using a format y-axis rotation angle. And now I can specify the parameters, and I could use trackbar 1.value. Try it again, run. And it should be working now. I might probably be able to do that using bindings as well, so that I don't have to write any code. But this is just a simple example, of course. One more thing I could add is maybe add a trackbar for the other axis as well. I will make my image a little bit smaller. The viewport 3D actually a little bit smaller. Now that I have repositioned everything a bit, I will add a second trackbar to it, to the form actually, the trackbar. Here you go. I will reposition it, and normally I should find an option for the orientation. Horizontal, I will set to vertical. Reposition it a little bit. Not too close to the other one, otherwise it will be difficult to touch them. Reposition everything. And here the same thing, set the minimum and maximum values. Maximum will be 360. and the onChange event, we can have similar code. For the x-axis, and this time trackbar 2, run it again, and I should be able to do both. And this is my sampling application. Now I will have to save this on the Mac drive, because I will have to compile it using Xcode. So I will save my project, save as, and I will put it somewhere on my documents, and I have development Delphi XE2. I will make a new folder, iOS sample, unit main firm, and the project will be saved as well. Save project as. iOS sample. Now I have saved my project and I can export it to Xcode using my tools menu, tools, export to Xcode, and this should make an Xcode version of my application. And I'm done on the Windows side of things, or virtual machine side of things. Now I can start up Xcode. Let's do that. Start Xcode. Open a project, and in my documents I should find the necessary files. Development, Delphi XE2, iOS sample, and I have within that folder another folder called iOS. I should be able to open this project using Xcode. I can have a look at the sources, of course. I have my same Pascal sources, which have been modified a little bit by the export tool. And now I can try to use the iPhone simulator and run it in the iPhone simulator. My iPhone simulator is up. And I have my application running using the same code. But as you can see, it is working perfectly. And that's it actually. So you noticed you can actually build Delphi iOS applications using Delphi XE2 and FireMonkey, and compile them using Xcode, and even test them in the iOS simulator. And if you have an Apple developer account for the iOS developer program, then you will be able to deploy your application on a physical device as well. So, and we are at the end of this tutorial once again. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned a few things about it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us through the website devia.be. And you should find a post there with some more information, and of course a link to the video on YouTube about this tutorial. And there you can post a comment or a suggestion or a question. You could also use the same thing on YouTube, of course, and go to the video on YouTube and post a comment there. In the meantime, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you soon again in another video tutorial.